Question 13. Circle either true or false for each of the following statements. 20% of 70 is the same as 70% of 20. So we need to work out what each of these would be and then say whether it's the same or not. So 20% of 70. To work out 20%, first work out 10%. And to find 10%, we divide the number by 10. So dividing that by 10, we take a 0 off. So 10% would be 7. And now how do I get to 20% now? Well, 20% is obviously 10% and 10%. That would give me 20%. So if 10% is 7, 10% is 7, 20% would be 7 and 7, 14. Is that the same as this? 70% of 20. Well, 10% of 20, take the 0 off, would be 2. How do I get from the 10% to 70% then? Times by 7. So then I have to do the same to this side. 2 times 7 would be 14. So 70% of 20 is 14 and 20% of 70 is 14. So that is the same. So that is true. 1/2 of 1/8 is the same as 1/8 of 1/2. So sometimes looking at fractions, it's easier to draw them out. So 1/2 of an 1/8. So if we draw a shape and split it into 8. So that's in 2, 4. So that shape there has been split up into 8. So 1/8 is this section here. That's 1/8. Now it's asking me for 1/2 of that. So what is 1/2 of this? I'd have to split it down here again. So if I split it in half, then actually I'm looking for this half here. That would be 1 out of a total 16. So that would be 1 over 16. Now this one here is 1/8 of 1/2. So if we draw that out again, this shape has been split into 2. And that is the 1/2. So now it's asking for an 1/8 of that. So we've got to split this into 8. So if I split it into 2, this would be split into 4. Now this 4, so I've done the same on this side as I would here. This shape has now been split into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1/8 of this blue part would be that. So now, what is that of the whole shape? 1 out of 16. So these are actually exactly the same. So that is true. A number is halved, the answer is halved, and then this answer is halved again. This gives you the same answer as dividing the original number by 6. So let's say we chose a nice even number. So we could do 10. So a number is halved. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I halved it. The answer is halved. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. And then the answer is halved again. So now I've got to half that again. So half of 2.5 is 1 point, divided by 2, sorry, is 1.25. So I've halved that again. So now, if you're struggling halving things, then you could half the 2 to give you 1, half the 0.5 to give you 0.25, or if you think about it as 50, half the 50 would be 25, decimal in the middle, and then put them together, 1.25. Okay, so the question is now saying, is that the same as dividing the original number by 6? So 10 divided by 6, is that 1.25? So if we did it in the short division method, 10 divided by 6, how many 6's go into 1? None. Carry it over. How many 6's go into 10? 1. I'd have 4 left over. So I need to get this into a decimal now. I need to be able to use that 4 left over. So to do that, I put a decimal and add a 0. So if there's a decimal in the question, there needs to be a decimal in the answer. Now I can use that remainder 4. So carry it over. How many 6's go into 40? Well, 6 times 6 is 36. So then I've got some leftovers, I've got some remainders there, but I can see straight away that 1.6 is not the same as 1.25. So that is false. You could have used any number there, as long as you're testing it out to see whether it's true or false. You could use 10, 100, 20, any number. Dividing a number by 15 is the same as first dividing by 10 and then dividing the answer by 5. So if we choose a number that's in the 15 times table to make it nice and easy, we could do 30. So dividing that number by 15. So 30 divided by 15 equals 2. So we did that. Is that the same as first dividing the number by 10? So 30 divided by 10 is 3. Done that. And then dividing the answer by 5. Well, 3 divided by 5 is not 2. So that is not the same. False. Multiplying a number by 2.5 is the same as first multiplying by 10 and then dividing the answer by 4. So again, we can choose a nice even number. So multiplying a number by 2.5. So let's try 10. So 10 times 2.5. 10 times 2.5 is going to be 25. So you could say 10 times 2 would be 20. And then a half of 10 is 5. Add them together would be 25. Or you could just say 10 times 2.5, move the numbers over one space to make them 10 times bigger. So the 5 would come here, 2 would go there, giving you 25. That is the same as first multiplying by 10 and then dividing the answer by 4. So let's try that. My original number was 10. Times that by 10. So done that part, which is 100. And then dividing the answer by 4. So 100 divided by 4 is 25. So the first one was 25 and the second one was 25. So that is true. So the examiner, this is a 3-mark question. The examiner will give you 3 marks if you have 4 or 5 correct. 2 marks if you have 3 correct, and 1 mark if you have 2 correct. Anything less than that is 0 marks.